tonight. Girl tonight.
None of them boy, they no bad. None of them boy, they no bad. None of them boy, they no bad. Bad fancy, what some archbishop, them no bad. Who them
You know I suggest. Just let's go.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to SVDS round 4. Man, it has been one hell of a round so far. We're going to send our top 16 drivers, 8 battles, 16 drivers, all very, very talented. And we should be moving on. Our very first battle is going to be Dan Paul versus Josh Byrne. Very, very good drivers, and we saw them go at it in the top 32, and they're going to be sending it even harder in the top 16. I mean, this is going to be exciting. I cannot wait.
A lot of talented drivers, and I mean a lot of these drivers throwing down some really clean leads and chases in the top 32, so it's going to be pretty heated battles going into the top 16.
Absolutely. I don't know if you guys can still hear us, but we are playing our round 2 trailer. we're playing our round 2 trailer, so keep in mind that as the trailer is playing here, make sure to head over to www.scottishvirtualdriftseries.com because we still have tickets on sale. You can either get single rounds to do 1 or 2 of them, or you can get a full season ticket if you want to compete for the championship. You can definitely do that if you head over to the website. Once again, that's www.scottishvirtualdriftseries.com, all one word. Super sick to see the website get up and running here, and you can head over there now and buy your tickets. So make sure to get in on that if you want to be a competitor, if you want to be a driver for this next season and do some of the crazy feats of talent that you see on screen right now for $10 a round, or sorry, for €10 a round, or pounds, sorry, for £10 a round, or for £50 for the whole season. So, ladies and gentlemen, make sure to head over to the website and get your spot now, because once again, they sell out, and they sell out quickly. So it's going to be, you're definitely going to want to get in on this. But here we go. Josh Byrne and Dan Paul ready to set it here. Dan Paul in the lead position. Beautiful job with those 180 SXs, both of them in them here with Dan Paul throwing. Oh, and he's over-rotating on the bank. Oh, that is just unfortunate to see. Dan Paul, so unfortunately, over-rotating on the bank with Josh Byrne going to go continue his run. Even though as the chase driver, you technically don't have to. He's still going to go out and put on a show for you guys. So look at that. Look at that 180. Beautiful car. Love to see it. So it's unfortunate for sure to see a driver as good as Dan Paul make a mistake like that and go up into the wall. The wall seems to be claiming a lot of victims today when it comes to our battles here. So now we're going to have them switched up. Dan Paul in the chase with Josh Byrne in the lead, with Josh Byrne in the lead here. Going to be really cool to see here. But as you see, the lights will go red, the lights will go green, and you'll see Josh Byrne and Dan Paul go at it for the second half of this battle. Let's try and keep it clean, gentlemen. Try and get a good battle out of this. Alrighty. Here we go. You can see those lights go on. The lights go green. And here we go. Josh Byrne in the lead position. Dan Paul in the chase. Here we go. Josh Byrne getting ready to ascend it here. Big flick initiation. Nicely done on that first outside clip. Coming up to the wall. Dan Paul doesn't quite have the proximity he'd like to get up onto the door of Josh Byrne here, with Josh Byrne going a fantastic lead line so far. Beautiful job into those outside clips with Dan Paul dropping a bit of a tire, but coming in, lunging up onto the side of Josh Byrne here. Dan Paul throwing out a really good job in that chase position here now that he's getting towards the end of the go. Oh, and Josh Byrne goes 2 tires off the course towards the end there. That could sway this battle in a different direction than it was going so far. Man, Beard, what do you think, man? This is going to be crazy.
I mean, it looks like Byrne, throwing in a solid lead up until that last or second to last zone and dropping 2 tires. I mean, he had it clean in the bag, and now it's up to the judges to decide on which way it's going to go. But I love that camera angle that we had just seen that run, and it really shows the dynamic and the attitude of the cars in both the lead and chase position.
For sure. Love to see these drivers go at it, and we get to see every little bit of it with this nice little drone cam up in the sky here, watching down from above to see how these guys do. And luckily with that camera, you don't really miss anything when it comes to these runs. So you get to see every little mistake, every little gain that everybody gets when they're throwing down those solid battles. Dan Paul, Josh Byrne, 2 very talented drivers, but will that tire drop be enough to offset the spin that Dan Paul did at the start of his run? So it'll be interesting to see what the judges decide. We're going to be taking it to them here at any moment now to see who they vote for. Super cool to see. SVDS round 4 shaping up to be a really good event already. Our top 16, our first battle, has already had some trials and tribulations for our guys here, so it's going to be interesting to see how this goes here. I love the word interesting, apparently, because I've said it about 1,000 times today. But hey, man, can't deny when something's interesting. Really interesting when it's interesting.
So far with this, for this round, I mean, all the drivers have been doing a fantastic job in just keeping it really clean. Haven't seen a whole lot of contacts, at least not enough to upset the lead or follow driver. I mean, just everyone keeping it clean, keeping it consistent, and that's what we like to see, good, clean competition.
Absolutely, we love to see it here, and once again, we should be taking it down to our judges here any moment to see whether Dan Paul or Josh Byrne got that win. Now with Dan Paul making that big mistake and spinning out on the bank, I think we know which way this battle is going, but that 2-tire drop from Josh Byrne could offset the decision here. So it'll be fun to see whether or not they take the win home. Who gets to go back onto their trailer and head home. And I say that metaphorically, considering there are no trailers and this is a virtual event, but we like to say it because it makes things feel real, and we like it when things feel real because the sim is definitely what that attempts to be. We're trying to be real here, you know. It's always nice to get professional support. It's always nice to see everybody putting support in, especially as of lately with COVID and everything back in 2020, and with how popular at-home stuff has become with these sim competitions getting a lot of support here. So SVDS definitely one of the premiers, I'd say. And now obviously the drivers are going one more time as the judges have decided here, with Dan Paul and Josh Byrne going up again, with Dan Paul now getting another chance to throw down a much better lead line than he did before. So here we go. You get a nice clear shot of Dan Paul and Josh Byrne here. Both very nice cars. Josh Byrne unfortunately not having a livery, but still making up for it with how pretty that car looks. I mean, that origin kit looking really good on that vehicle, but we're going to see the light tree go on here, and it'll go green, and you'll see these drivers go at it again. We love to see it. Here we go. Dan Paul in lead position with Josh Byrne in the chase position. Here we go. Dan Paul going to throw a big flick initiation. Nicely done in that first outside clip. Maybe came out a little bit shallow, but going up the bank towards the wall. Big correction here from Dan Paul, with Josh Byrne just trying to take note of what's going on in front of him and try and make a move to get up close, but lunging in now, hopefully trying to get up onto the side of Dan Paul, with Dan Paul pulling a massive gap so far through that outside clip. A big transition here, a little bit of lag here from Dan Paul, but he makes it around and gets out to this outside zone, with Josh Byrne just unfortunately not able to find the proximity. It just sucks when you can't quite find that, especially when you're trying so hard. Beard, what do you think?
It's interesting. It looks like the Josh Byrne, struggled to just maintain that proximity. Dan Paul just really quick in that lead position.
For sure, but here we go for the second half of the battle. We're going to get ready to send in here with Dan Paul now in the chase and Josh Byrne in the lead here. You can see the fire coming out of the back of that too, for that 180SX. And getting ready to throw him down the track, send him down like a bowling ball towards the pins. We're going to fire him off, get him out to the track here, and see how they do here. Josh Byrne ready to send it in. Nicely done on that first outside clip, with Dan Paul trying to make a push, trying to gain the proximity onto Mr. Josh Byrne, but just can't seem to find it, with Josh Byrne throwing a beautiful lead line so far. Let's see how he does into this next section of the track. And oh, Dan Paul goes around. Oh, and into the bank, the embankment of the sand and the dirt and the grass. Man, hate to see it. But Josh Byrne finishing out his lead run here, coming out of this outside zone and finishing out the run strong. Man.
Unfortunately, Dan just coming down off that wall transition too soon, put him inside the pocket and kind of trapped himself, had nowhere to go.
For sure, and it looks like we do have the wrong run showing up on the left side, but on that left side with Dan Paul's lead on this actual battle, not the one you're seeing on the left here, but in the actual battle, Dan Paul did manage to finish his lead run, but did not manage to finish the chase run, unfortunately, which I think might give Josh Byrne a bit of an advantage here, but we'll take it to the judges to find out here in a moment. But stay tuned, because our next battle coming up is going to be a fiery one. It's going to be Eridas Sadowskis versus Lewis Monks. But here, slide him left for Dan Paul, slide him right for Josh Byrne. We'll see what the judges decide. Here we go. And that's unanimous. Josh Byrne takes the win and is going to be moving on to our top 8. He will be the first of our drivers today to do so. And next up, once again, we have Eridas Sadowskis versus Lewis Monks. Two very amazing drivers, and I cannot wait to see how this goes. Getting them lined up here, and they're already lined up. Look at that. We love our well-behaved drivers. Eridas Sadowskis in that E46, that HGK E46, a very lovely looking car Ready to send it here in his lead run with Lewis Monks in that Valino Tyres Kazama Auto S15. Ready to send it here. All right, Sadowski is throwing it in nice and big on that initiation with Lewis Monks, choking himself off just a little bit, but managing to transition nice and tight and stay up on the door, but he falls back just a little bit as Sadowski comes down the hill nice and decent, nice and deep. Look at that big ascended that outside touch and go while he drags it along that wall and gets out into this outside clip. Lewis Monks looking like he's struggling just a little bit in the chase, but manages to find the proximity through this last corner, finishing out the run stronger, both drivers. Nicely done. What do you think, Beard? What do you think so far?
I don't know if the follow driver was playing it cautious due to just the level of difficulty that the track offers, or if he was struggling to find the grip and the traction to be able to actually get closer to that door. Be interesting to see how the flip side of this battle goes.
For sure, but here we go. Lewis Monks in the lead position with Sadowskis in the chase. Lewis sending it in nice and decent onto that outside clipping zone. Nicely done up onto the wall. Here we go. Big transition with Sadowskis all over the door, putting on the pressure onto Lewis Monks. Falling back just a little bit as Lewis comes down the hill, looking really solid here. Big flick. Let's see how he does in this downhill section. Beautiful job here with Sadowskis putting on the pressure now, just trying to reel him in. And it looks like he finds the door of Lewis Monks, transitioning nice and tight with him, pushing up wheel to wheel. A little bit of contact it looked like as Sadowskis tries to keep the car sideways and manages to finish out the run. Wow, what an aggressive second half of the battle.
Chase driver did a great job. Just wasn't quite like glued to the door like in some other battles, but was just maintaining the same proximity throughout the whole run. And just stayed consistent, stayed smooth without too many corrections, other than that last couple zones. Made one big correction, but aside from that, was just very smooth, very consistent. Interesting to see how the judges are going to judge these two battles here.
For sure. Definitely going to be a difficult decision for these two drivers as they both made their own mistakes, but they also both put down pretty solid runs. So it's going to be really cool to see how this goes here. Absolutely phenomenal stack of drivers here for SVDS round 4. We love to see everybody show up and everybody put down their best. They're doing phenomenal work here, putting down solid runs and just making this track look easy, which I can assure you it is not. I mean, Beard, you've driven it before.
That bank is the most difficult. As I said earlier in the stream, it's really hard to tune the car to be able to run that bank perfectly, but then also maintain your grip on the flat sections, slower sections of the track. It's which way do you want to go? Because if you tune too much towards the bank to run the bank better, then you're sacrificing grip and speed on the flat section, and then vice versa. If you gear the car towards the flat section, then you're losing and you're going to be coming out of that top outside zone, which is a heavily judged zone, because that's like the kind of showcase or like the big zone that everyone wants to actually get to is that top outside zone.
And it looks like our judges couldn't make quite of a unanimous decision as one of our judges votes for Aridas Sadowskis, but the majority says one more time, so you're going to get to see these guys go at it again. Aridas Sadowskis and Lewis Monks, here we go. They're lined up. They're ready to go. They want that win. Both of them are going to be fighting with their lives, it almost seems, with how tight some of these battles get. Lewis Monks in that S15, that Kazama Auto Valino Tyres, definitely a very talented driver. We love to see him drive, but Sadowskis, definitely no slouch either. Definitely a phenomenal driver. He's going to show it here with this lead run. Look at that, nice and deep into that first outside zone. Look at that, coming up the bank, nice and aggressive, gets it out, fills that whole outside zone with Lewis Monks. Now finally finding the proximity and trying to get up onto the door with a big lunge, I imagine here. Look at that, trying to get up onto the side of Sadowskis' E46. Sadowskis looking really good around this outside touch and go, throwing down a really good lead line with Lewis Monks just falling back a little bit, but finding the proximity finally towards the end of the run. Solid run from both drivers, but definitely, I mean, I'd say it's swinging towards Sadowskis right now.
It looks like a beautiful lead run. Looks like on that run right there, and I mean, it came down to that initiation. Monks, or the second transition, that Monks kind of transitioned a little late, which put the gap, and then he spent the rest of the track trying to reel him back in. These cars are very evenly matched in speed.
For sure, but here we go. Lewis Monk's in the lead position. Look at that big initiation from him coming up the hill. Nice and aggressive with Sadowskis, matching what Lewis Monk's did in his chase with not quite having the proximity that he wants here. A big transition. Lewis Monk's making a bit of a mistake, it looks like, choking up Sadowskis, but Sadowskis trying to get up onto the side of that S15 with another mistake by Lewis coming into this touch and go with Sadowskis looking really solid on the door of that S15. Now finally finding the proximity and finishing out really good for both of these drivers. I mean, wow, what a battle. I mean, definitely some trade-offs, mistakes, and good, you know, the good parts of it and the bad parts of it. It'll definitely be an interesting call for the judges' beard.
One thing I noticed is looks like Sadowskis in his chase, he was quite a bit more. He sacrificed angle to be able to try and get closer to, whereas Monk's in his chase position, he more or less mimicked the lead driver as far as angle goes throughout the track, being a little bit more consistent with sacrificing that proximity. And then on the flip side, Sadowskis sacrificing angle to try and gain, but not ever kind of quite getting there till the very end.
For sure, for sure. So the judges are going to have a lot to look at. I mean, if it was a split decision last time, it could be even worse this time, or we might actually have a unanimous one more time. But again, you see Lewis Monk's make that mistake in his lead position, especially getting a bad line through here. So that could have been responsible for some of Sadowskis' mistakes there. But definitely a solid battle between them both. But here we go. Let's take it to the judges and see what they decide. Swipe him left for Sadowskis. And I didn't even get time to say swipe him right because they swiped left. Erina Sadowskis takes the win and moves on to our top 8, being the second driver to do so, which means our next set of drivers will be Daniel Andrejev versus Chris Kessler. Two very talented drivers, the two robots of the series, coming in for our next battle. Man, if you, I mean, you paid for the whole seat, but you're only going to use the edge for this next battle, because I tell you, Andrejev and Kessler are two of our greatest, two of the GOATs of the series, as they say.
This will definitely be an interesting battle, and definitely one to save replays of. I mean, both of them fantastic drivers, and we should expect some real close door action.
For sure, for sure. Get your OBS out if you're on PC and start recording this battle, or get your drop down that menu on your iPhone and start recording this one, because you're going to want to see this over and over and over again, because Daniel Andrejev and Chris Kessler are two of our most aggressive and two of our most talented drivers of this series. Chris Kessler, Daniel Andrejev, both of our guys. These guys are I'm pretty sure they're exclusively sim drivers. They're both very talented here on the sim, though. Andrejev and Kessler both in those S chassis vehicles, with Andrejev in his S15 and Kessler in his S14. I mean, both of these guys, wow, this is going to be one hell of a battle. And I for one cannot stay seated for this one. I am bouncing in my chair. This one's an exciting one, man. Andrejev, Chris Kessler, ready to send it here for their top 16 battle. Pretty unfortunate for our some of our two best drivers to meet in the 16, as this battle will probably show up and look like a finals battle, because they'll both be pushing to move on into that top 8 position and have another chance to get closer and closer at that event win. But here we go, off the start chicane, here we go, Daniel Andrejev in that lead position, lighting off the tires nice and early, big initiation with Chris Kessler all over the door, already putting on the pressure, coming up onto the bank, reeling him in as Andrejev does a really good job on the outside zone. Looking really solid here through the outside clips. Big transition getting into this downhill section of the course. Chris Kessler all over the side of that S15, though, not giving him an inch, putting it down. Look at this, putting on the pressure, finishing out the run solid. Man, Andrejev and Chris Kessler, two incredible examples of what can be done on the sim, because, like, I mean, get your notebooks out, ladies and gentlemen. You will be quizzed on this later, because this is textbook.
I mean, you want to talk about car control. I mean, it's the perfect example. Putting the cars both in the lead and the chase exactly where they need to be without any major corrections. Absolutely phenomenal start to this battle.
Absolutely. It almost looks like they had like a prep, a conversation before this battle and went, let's both do perfect runs, because damn, that was close. Daniel Andrejev now going to be in the chase position with Chris Kessler in the lead. You'll see the lights go red and the lights go green. And here we go. They're rolling. Chris Kessler in the lead position as S14, with Daniel Andrejev following very closely behind that S15. Look at that. Big initiation from Chris Kessler, looking really solid, coming up onto the wall. But wow, Daniel Andrejev putting on the proximity all over the side of that S14. Look at this, through the transition, coming down the straight section. Chris Kessler, nice and deep, coming out wide on that downhill section with Daniel Andrejev not giving him an inch through that transition here. Let's see how they do. Bumper to bumper is Daniel Andrejev all over the side of Chris Kessler, finishing out the run. Wow, what a run!
Definitely the most aggressive battle throughout this whole round so far. Phenomenal runs, Chris maintaining proximity and just putting exactly where he needs to be, and then Andrejev in the chase position doing the exact same. I mean, it's either going to go MT or it's going to go down to individual like driver line rather than mistakes. Just who ran a better lead line, because both of them in the follow position were just absolutely phenomenal. Very difficult one to judge.
Yeah, no, this one's going to be definitely a battle of attrition here, and see who made the less mistakes, and see who put down the better runs here. I mean, once again, I know I've said it before, but I do not envy the judges, especially in a battle like this where it is so tight and our drivers have made little to no mistakes, throwing down near perfect runs. I mean, if we had a qualifying, these are 90+ runs for sure from both of these guys.
Oh, 100%. I mean, it's just very minimal corrections, if any at all, on both lead and chase. It just each driver mimicking the other perfectly. That's absolutely phenomenal.
Absolutely awesome to see. And I mean, Andrejev was definitely a bit more aggressive in his chase, but I'd say Chris Kessler put down one hell of a lead run with Andrejev making a couple of corrections in his lead, but it might not be enough to offset Chris Kessler's mistakes there, as he made a couple of little corrections here and there in his chase run, as well as not having quite as much proximity as Andrejev had. So once again, I do not envy the judges whatsoever. I mean, they have the toughest job in drifting. I'll say it once and I'll say it again. We may be able to scream up here in the booth, but down there in the actual judges tower, they are, they're probably screaming at each other,
pulling their hair out. I mean, they're going through this run with a fine-tooth comb. I mean, you have to with these caliber of runs.
Absolutely. Two very good-looking vehicles and two very good drivers. I mean, what more can you ask for here out of Scottish Virtual Drift Series Round 4? And once again, if you want to be part of Series 2 and you want to drive in Series 2, it is coming. So make sure to head over to www.scottishvirtualdriftseries.com and make sure to sign up. We do have tickets live, and they do sell out, and they do sell out quickly. So make sure to be on that wave. And if you want to be a competitor, you can sign up for single round tickets if you want to just do one or two, or if you want to fight for a championship and do all of our rounds, you can get a series ticket. So make sure to get those quickly, because they will get snatched up by anybody who wants to compete, because it will be on 3.0 data next season. So we'll be able to have these drivers drive at their fullest capability. So now we see them. Look at these two beautiful vehicles parked up. I mean, these two cars, two very different styles, but two very good-looking drivers.
Chris always makes phenomenal liveries for cars, but Andrejev's, I've always loved their team wrap. It just those bright colors match well together and just really makes it pop and stand out. It's just fantastic looking livery on any car they put it on.
Absolutely, you love to see it, but our judges still waiting. We're still waiting on our judges to make the call, which is completely understandable. I mean, that was one hell of a battle between these guys.
I would hate to be in the judges panel for this. I mean, that's a very difficult battle to judge. I mean, it could really go either way, or even OMT.
This is one hell of a battle, but we do keep in mind too as well, we do still have more battles to go, but here we go. Swiping left for Andrejev, swiping right for Chris Kessler. What will our judges decide? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. That's unanimous. Daniel Andrejev comes out on top and moves into our top 8. Unfortunately, Kessler, that does mean that he is going home a bit earlier than I'm sure he would have liked to go, but still a phenomenal battle, and he should go home happy knowing that he put down one of the best runs of the day so far. So up next, we have Brendan Stacy versus Simon Sandman, two also very talented drivers. Sandman having podiumed in our last round and did really well. We'll be seeing him go up again to see if he can make it into the top 8, but Brendan Stacy definitely not going to take it lying down. He's definitely going to put up a fight and try and play spoiler for Sandman. This is going to be interesting for sure. Alrighty, here we go. Yeah, Brendan Stacy and that Sylvia S15 and Simon Sandman also in an S15. You love to see these guys run what they're comfortable in. And while yes, S chassis do get a little bit boring after a while, I feel like no matter what, the driving will never make them boring for sure, because they are some of the most capable chassis in drifting and some of the most tested ones. So they've got some of the best data out there. Simon Sandman in his S15 with Brendan Stacy in his S15. Both of these guys going to be throwing down the best runs that they possibly can. We got this nice little camera looking over the top of them at the start gate. We're going to get ready to send them here any moment for their battle with Brendan Stacy in the lead and Simon Sandman in the chase. Alrighty, here we go. Brendan Stacy in the lead with Simon Sandman in the chase position. Here we go. Big initiation from Brendan Stacy, looking really good coming up to this outside zone. Let's see how he does on the wall with Sandman all over the door. Look at that, putting down the pressure as they come down off the hill with Brendan Stacy looking really solid coming down all into this downhill section. Look at that big angle. It makes a couple of little corrections with Sandman all over the side of him, trying to get up onto the door here. Big transition, but doesn't quite lunge up as far as we would have seen from Sandman normally. But finishing out the run strong are both of these drivers. Brendan Stacy, nicely down in that lead position.
That lead driver coming through that decel zone, right after the decel zone, the big correction I noticed was after it, he threw a lot more angle. He did hold it through the rest of that corner, but Sandman following beautifully and kind of predicting that mass amount of angle in that corner, just reading the lead driver well.
Alrighty, but here we go. Brendan Stacy now in the chase position with Simon Sandman in the lead. Here we go. Big initiation from Simon Sandman coming up to the wall here. Let's see how he does. Looking nice and deep. Maybe doesn't fill it out quite as much as he should have, but Stacy trying to put down a pretty solid chase run here with Sandman throwing a big angle into the downhill section. Can he hold it? Yes, he does. With Stacy just trying to stay up onto the back bumper of Simon Sandman. Big transition from Sandman, looking really deep. Nice big angle, reels it out nice and deep. Finishing out the run stronger, both of these drivers. Man, another great battle for our judges to deliberate over for sure.
Sandman doing a phenomenal job in that chase position, keeping more consistent proximity throughout the run, to whereas Stacy in the chase position keep more proximity in his run, to whereas Sandman on his chase, he was kind of surging and dropping off a little bit. But it's going to come down tit for tat on these runs.
Absolutely. I'm excited to see who moves on this fourth battle of our top 16. These guys already putting down some of the better runs we've seen all day. Absolutely phenomenal job from all of our drivers today. And even if you've gone home, know that you put up a fight in one of the most crazy series on AC, Scottish Virtual Drift Series. Just absolutely, I cannot be more honored to be a part of this series. Even just putting my voice over this just feels really awesome to see. The absolute show of talent from a lot of these drivers is just incredible. I mean, Brendan Stacy and Simon Sandman definitely showing why it's incredible here with putting down some of the best runs we've seen all day. I don't know if it's better than the Andrejev and Kessler battle, but definitely one to watch for sure.
The Andrejev and Kessler battle, that's going to be a hard one to beat. That was phenomenal.
For sure.
These guys, both Stacy and Sandman, putting up a good battle against each other as well. Judges, again, taking their time, going over the replays in each run with a fine-tooth comb to make sure that they make the proper call.
Absolutely. We love to see our judges, take their time and make sure they get the right call, because having good calls is what makes the competition great. So it'll be good to see who they decide. Stacy and Sandman, absolutely phenomenal once again. Just putting down some of the best runs I've ever seen. I love to watch these drivers go at it, and here we go. You're going to swipe them left for Brendan Stacy, swipe them right for Simon Sandman. And here we go. And that's unanimous. Swiping him right. Simon Sandman is going to get the win and move on. What a very talented driver. And it looks like he's shooting for another podium. So Simon Sandman getting that win. And we're going to be moving on to the second half of our top 16. This is going to be awesome to see. There we go. You can see on the left-hand side here, we have our top 8 set. For that left-hand side, we have Josh Byrne, Aridas Sadowskis, Daniel Andrejev, and Simon Sandman all slotted into that top 8, ready to throw down once they get there. But we still have a second half of the top 16 to go. We have Owen Magner, Porter Stewart, Holmesburg, Manis, Connor Falvey, Cameron Mustard, Studzinski, and Wells. I mean, all of them very, very talented drivers. I mean, everybody in this series is talented. I don't know why I keep saying talented drivers. But here we go. You can see once again our commercial for Series 2. Make sure that you go over to the website. Once again, www.scottishvirtualdriftseries.com. You can head over there and purchase your tickets. 5 rounds, 5 layouts. Absolutely phenomenal series to be a part of. So make sure you're in. Tickets do sell out. They do sell out quickly. I believe it's £10 per round or $50 for the whole season, and that's a bargain. I'd say it's a pretty good steal for a premier series such as this one. Make sure that you're in, make sure that you're part of it. So head over to the website. Once again, it's going to be on VDC 3.0. Head over to www.scottishvirtualdriftseries to get your tickets and make sure that you're in for the competitiveness of these series. I mean, it is just crazy, and you get to go up against some of the best of the best. I mean, once again, we've got guys like Chris Kessler, you've got Porter Stewart Holmes, Owen Magner. I mean, all these guys, super fantastic drivers. Daniel Andrejev, like, all of them really great drivers, and like getting the chance to go up to them would be a chance of a lifetime. So once again, £10 per round or $50 for the whole series. Head over to www.scottishvirtualdriftseries.com and get your tickets now. Oh. Alrighty, here we go. Jackson Lay and Owen Magner, two very talented drivers. Owen Magner having taken out Brandon Carter earlier, and Jackson Lay, I believe, was up against Titus back earlier. So both of these guys have had some hardship battles to get through. So Owen Magner and Jackson Lay, two very talented drivers, and they've fought their way here. So let's see how they do for their run. Here we go, taking off the line. Jackson Lay in that lead position. Owen Magner in the chase. We got a big initiation from Jackson Lay, maybe a little bit shallow on that outside touch and go, but coming up to the wall. Little bit of a correction. It phases Owen Magner just a little bit, but Owen Magner putting the pressure back on. Jackson Lay looking really solid through this transition section coming down the hill, and Magner lunging in, getting up on the front wheel of that S14, just trying to stick it on the door with Jackson Lay throwing a big transition. Look at that with Owen Magner all over the side of that S14, putting on the pressure, damn near pushing him over the line. Nicely done for both of these guys. Just absolutely fantastic. Jackson Lay, Owen Magner, two very, very talented guys. For sure. Love to see these S chassis go at it. Got the 15 of Owen Magner and the 14 of Jackson Lay. We love to see it. Love to see these guys go at it. But here we go. We're going to get ready to send them for the second half of their battle here. Jackson Lay, Owen Magner. The lights will go red, then it goes green, and you'll see these guys go at it once again for the second half of their battle. Here we go. Owen Magner in the lead position, lighting him off early, getting out to that outside touch and go. Nicely done with Jackson Lay, just trying to stick up onto the door. Magner, look at that. Beautiful job filling out the entirety of that outside zone with Jackson Lay, putting on the pressure, coming down the hill. Oh, contact as they go bumper to bumper. Owen Magner throwing it out nice and deep, maybe being set off his line there, going into this outside touch and go by Jackson Lay here. Look at that. Jackson, though, trying to make up for it, trying to gain that proximity, and sticks it to the door, finishing out the run strong. I mean, oh, that contact might have killed Jackson Lay. What do you think, Beard?
It's going to come down to the contact. Both of them were great runs, but it's going to come down to contact. It's hard to see on our view and everything with a little bit of lag in the stream, but if that was the lead driver's fault or if just a chase driver being a little bit too aggressive. So it'd be interesting to see how the judges view that contact. But in my opinion, that's going to be the deciding factor of the winner of this battle.
For sure. Going to be interesting to see what the judges decide, because yes, that contact could be the deciding factor when it comes to how this battle shapes up. And you can see here on the right, as you watch here, you can see it happen again here. Bang, there's the tap on the bumper, and you can see it causes Magner to straighten up a little bit, making him go wide here. It's a miracle he didn't go off the track because of it, but he keeps it on the track and keeps it stuck down to the ground and throws down a beautiful rest of the lead run with Jackson Lay falling off just a little bit towards the end there, but still managing to keep that proximity. But I mean, if it were me, I'd say this probably is leading towards Magner, but that's not our decision to make. That's the judge's decision, and we'll be taking it down to them here any moment now to see who takes that win.
I mean, props to the driver for both of them keeping it on track and maintaining. With a contact like that, it could easily send either driver off track, but they were able to both keep it on track and be able to finish the run.
For sure. But here we go. We should be taking down to the judges here any moment now with a decision between Jackson Lay and Owen Magner. Any moment now, the judges will be making the decision here. I understand that it does take a little while, but please bear with us as our judges do take their time to make sure that they get the best call that they possibly can, deciding whether or not mistakes were outweighing or if somebody did better than the other. They've got to look at every part of the run and come to a very logical conclusion. So please bear with us, as sometimes our calls do take longer, because the closer these battles get, the harder they are to tell who wins. So our judges are definitely going to be picking these runs apart with a fine-tooth comb and seeing who was at fault for certain things and who's not at fault for the others. So definitely going to be interesting to see here. And look at that. That's a beautiful shot here, looking at Owen Magner and Jackson Lay, both of these guys in those S chassis. Magner in that Link ECU S15 with Jackson in that Valino Tyres S14. Very awesome set of drivers here. But here we go. Swiping left for Magner, swiping right for Jackson Lay. What are our judges going to decide? That's 1, 2, 3, and unanimously, Owen Magner gets to move on to the top 8 and take that Link ECU S15, hopefully to the top. And unfortunately for Jackson Lay, not the result he would have wanted this weekend, as he's going to be heading home with that S14 on his trailer there. So next up should be Porter Stewart Holmes and Dominic Bergmanis. Once again, two very talented drivers, two Toyotas, which is really cool to see, that Supra and that GG86.
I have a tough call. GT86 or S15 are two favorite cars in the game to drive. They're both very aggressive, but on very different aspects.
Absolutely, for sure. But here we go. Porter Stewart Holmes in the lead position with Bergmanis in the chase. Here we go. Porter throwing it in nice and deep with Bergmanis all over the side of that GT86, but loses it out on that transition with Porter throwing down a beautiful lead run so far, taking that GT86 all the way to the top of the bank. Nicely done through that outside clip. Look at that. A bit of lag here, but Porter throwing it in nice and deep into that downhill section. Maybe not as wide as we would have liked to see him, but Bergmanis, oh no, straightening out on that transition. Doesn't quite get it, but comes in a little bit too tight, hits the front end of Porter Stewart Holmes. Finishing out the run, though, strong are both of these drivers, with Bergmanis making quite a few mistakes, Beard.
Looks like Bergmanis, I mean, the biggest one is on that initiation, just dove in a little bit too hard and then forcing him to transition late. creating that gap going up to that top outside zone, and then the rest of it trying to play catch up, and then coming into that real tight section, just straightening up the car a little bit too much and trying to maintain back in, put him on the wrong line for that last zone.
For sure, but here we go. Porter Stewart Holmes going to be chasing in Bergmanis. Now he's a little bit farther back, but could this be knowing that he's got an advantage? It possibly. But here we go. Bergmanis coming down the hill, looking pretty solid. With Porter straightening out as well, transitioning, trying to get up onto the door of that A80 Supra. I mean, this is looking pretty even now that we have 2 zeros from both of these drivers. But Bergmanis trying to run the best lead line that he possibly can, and Porter just trying to stick with him after making that big mistake. Now, was it lag or was it real? That'll be the question today, as Porter has had a bit of lag throughout this battle, and that straighten could be a result of that, but we're not quite sure. That'll be up to the judges to decide, or they might just send it one more time to try and get a cleaner battle out of it, but only time will tell. And meanwhile, you can take a look at this replay. Now, it does look quite obvious that Porter might have gone straight there. So
hey, what it looks like is coming down where he straightened. It's a very high grip section because you're coming down off the embankment. Cars getting pushed into the track, and you have to have a lot of tire, a lot of wheel speed or a lot of motor, a lot of wheel speed to overcome that added grip of the car getting compressed into that zone. And it just looks like him running a shallow angle didn't have quite the wheel spin he thought he had, causing him to straighten on that section.
For sure. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the judges weigh this, because it looks like they might have both had a straighten in their run. So whether that'll be a 0-0 or not, who knows? We'll have to see what the judges think about that, because it could go OMT because of it. But here you can take a look on the left here. Bergmanis, now we get to see his chase run a little bit closer here. As you get to look, you can see the big transition. They get into this section of the course, but as you can see, Bergmanis falls behind. Maybe he gets lost in the smoke a little bit as he falls back and straightens up through this section. So it'll be interesting to see how the judges handle that, especially with the contact there as well from Bergmanis. That could be offsetting for the battle, and could be a reason why one or the other gets the win. But here we go. Judges going to be making the decision any moment now. And here we go. Take it down to the judges' screen any moment now. Scottish Virtual Drift Series, super fun to be a part of. I'm really hoping that everybody in chat has been having a good time with it as well. I'm excited to see how this goes. Everybody in chat, hopefully having a good time watching the stream. We try to keep it entertaining, and I think the driving speaks for itself a lot of the times. But I mean, these battles, man, they just get so tight with each other. They get so hard to determine who gets the win, and yeah, we can see that the judges are having that issue themselves.
Two hardest part of a competition series: judging and driver.
Absolutely right.
As a driver, you got all the stress and pressure and just trying to make those corrections and just predict what that lead driver is going to do, or just throwing down the best lead you can possibly run yourself. And then the judges just having to judge all these battles. It's just makes for good I can't think of the word.
Makes for good television.
Content. There we go. Content. Makes for good content.
Look at that beautiful shot of these two cars. That A80 Supra being shadowed over by that GT86. Beautiful looking car, beautiful looking livery. And oh, look at that! So we get to see the inside of the Supra. Nicely done. Take it down to the judges here any moment, but look at that. Look at these two very beautiful cars, very nice models. Porter Stewart Holmes in that GT86 and Bergmanis in that A80 Supra. We love to see it. We love to see the great choices that drivers make for what they decide to drive for these series. And that's the beauty of the sim, is that you can pretty much choose just about anything. I mean, I remember one of the earlier rounds that I commentated, we had a couple of Ferraris in the chat, which was you don't see those very often unless you're on the sim, so it was really cool to see those, and just the variety, man. I mean, we had William Holloway earlier in his MX-5, as well as Tom Edgecombe in his. Definitely interesting choices there. But here we go. Judges going to be making the decision. Swiping left for Porter Stewart Holmes and swiping right for Dominic Bergmanis. And here we go. That's unanimous. Bergmanis takes the win in that 880 Supra. And he's going to be moving on to our top 8. And unfortunately for Porter Stewart Holmes, he's going to be calling it early and heading and bowing out of competition in the top 16. And that's just unfortunate. But Bergmanis definitely putting down one hell of a fight. And he'll be going up against Magner in the top 8 with Falvey and Mustard now being our next battle. We're getting word it might be changed up. It might not be Cameron Mustard going up against Falvey. It could be Troutman. I'm not very familiar with the names here. Just having a good time. It is Troutman. All right, I'm reading up again. It is Troutman. All right, yeah, it looks like it might be Mr. Troutman going up against Connor Falvey. Now, Falvey we've seen is already just a fantastic driver, so Troutman's going to have an uphill battle to fight here. But can't count him out just yet. We know that Troutman will put down a pretty good lead run, and we haven't quite seen him do a chase run yet, but here's hoping that he knows what he's doing there. Alrighty, we're gonna be ready to send him here any moment now. Falvey and Troutman. Here we go. Ready to send him out of the start chicane here. Come on, Falvey and Troutman, two very, very good drivers. And I believe that Troutman there is actually driving Raul Condre's Supra. I don't believe Raul Condre is competing today, unfortunately, but at least his car gets to live on, where it's going to be going up against Connor Falvey here. Here we go. Gonna get ready to send him here any moment. Connor Falvey gonna be doing a nice lead run here. I'm sure he'll be putting down a heater here. But here we go. Finally getting ready to send him here. Connor Falvey throwing it in for a beautiful initiation, with Troutman gonna be trying to keep up on the door of that S15. And wow, big lunge on the bank, but straightens out. Unfortunately, catches a bit too much grip, trying to gain that proximity with Falvey, throwing down a pretty good lead run here. Big angle coming down the hill, but and Falvey goes off the course and zeroes out his run as well. I believe that means we've got 2 zeros independently of each other. Because when the chase runs zero, I mean, it depends on the rule book. I'm not quite familiar entirely, but I do believe that when the chase run zeroes out, you still have to finish your lead run. And Falvey failed to finish his lead run, so it'll be interesting to see how the judges weigh that. I'm not too familiar, so do not take my word as gospel. I'm not too familiar with how that situation works, but Falvey did make that massive mistake, but Troutman made his first. So here we go. Troutman gonna get ready to send it here. Big initiation here. He's gonna want to throw down a good lead run considering what happened last time. Coming up, filling out that outside zone. Beautiful angle coming down off the bank, but Falvey all over the side of that Supra. Look at that, putting on the aggression. Big lunge up though, and making a big mistake though in the chase position, while Troutman throwing down a really good lead line. Falvey just trying to keep up and cut the line to gain that proximity, and finally manages to find just a little bit of it towards the end of the run. Wow, that was actually quite a bit of a messy battle, Beard. What do you think?
It was interesting to see what happened with Falvey in the chase. Just that gap all of a sudden appeared out of nowhere. And then he spent the last half of the track. Normally, we see drivers gaining proximity on the second half of the track, but quite the opposite happened with Falvey in the chase. Even with a huge sacrifice of line trying to catch back up, he got there, but then quickly fell back off again.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for sure, but it'll be the mistakes in the first run that'll probably decide this battle. As you can see on the left hand of your screen, you can see Falvey and Troutman here. Troutman tries to lunge up onto the door of Falvey and unfortunately straightens out, having gotten a little bit too aggressive. But then you can see Falvey as he comes down this hill. Big transition, gains a bit too much speed and sends it too far, goes off the track. So it'll be depending on how the judges decide to weigh those mistakes that'll probably decide this battle.
This type of track, this type of layout, is just knowing when to attack is what's going to be key. Knowing the proper area to actually go and attack. Because high grip zones like you see right here in the replay coming up on that outside. It's a high grip zone. He starts to attack, has to left foot brake, and it just straightens up his car.
Absolutely. I will say that this bank is definitely one of the more difficult ones I've seen. I feel like only rivaled by a bank like Wall Stadium. I've seen a lot of moves like that where people try and lunge up on banks that are tight like that and unfortunately straighten out because they've got too much grip for the line that they've taken. I think that's the only other time I've seen that happen in terms of competition like that. But this bank definitely proving to be a challenge for our drivers, but not for Connor Falvey as he made it look easy in that chase position, staying on Troutman's door, but unfortunately losing quite a bit of his proximity there through the second half of the track. So the judges are going to be taking a look at this with a fine-tooth comb, seeing who was at fault for mistakes and which mistakes were worth more in terms of whether or not it's going to cause a battle loss.
Yeah, if you watch Falvey coming down off this wall, he starts to choke up, and right there stays on a little long and causes him to create that gap, which then he shallows up the track to try and gain back up and just couldn't get that proximity right. So it's going to be curious on how the judges are going to judge these two runs.
For sure here, and I mean it's one hell of a track because you don't really see as much as we know about this track. But the one thing too is that coming down off of that wall through the straight section there, when you're going into that decel zone, it's hard to decel because just as you're going over that clip, the track dips down and actually takes a lot of grip away from the car. So it's hard to keep that car slowing down so you don't go off the edge. And it looks like Connor Falvey just had too much speed going into it on his lead run, and that's what caused him to go off in that first run. But we did see once again that Troutman did make that mistake in his chase run on Falvey, in which he gained too much grip on the bank and straightened out on Falvey's door, unfortunately. So it all come down to the mistakes of the first run, I think, as well as who did better in the second run. It might go OMT because they don't have enough to judge off of, but I do believe that they could make a decision here. For sure, it's definitely going to be an interesting call for our judges here. They're going to be looking at this very, very closely to see who was at fault and who gets the win. It could once again go OMT because of the 2-0 situation, but we're not sure. But here we go. You can also take a look here. Slotting in that next battle of the top 8 is Owen Magner and Berg Manis. So we've got a very stacked lineup for top 8 so far. Now we're going to be seeing who gets to move on through in the battle between Connor Falvey and Karen Mustard. Or not Mustard, sorry, it's Troutman. I was reading the name. My bad. And then in the last battle, you see Marcel Studzinski and Kobe Wells going to be fighting it out after we get our decision between Falvey and Troutman for sure.
Interesting to see how they're going to judge that first half of that battle with both drivers zeroing their run. But I believe you are correct, where if chase driver zeroes his run first, lead driver still has to finish his run. Again, something we would have to check the rule book for to get clarification on it, but I believe that is correct what you were saying before, and got Falvey just going off track on his own accord.
For sure, but here we go. It'll be the decision of a lifetime to see what these judges think. And here we go. And it looks like, well, it's not Cameron Mustard, but it looks like Mr. Troutman is going to get the win for that battle. And we'll be moving on to our top 8. So we get to move on to our last battle of the top 16, which will be Marcel Studzinski versus Kobe Wells. So this will be the first time we see Kobe Wells actually do battle today, while Studzinski does have a bit of experience today in terms of being fresh on his skills. So it looks like Kobe Wells is going to have an uphill battle for sure, as Studzinski is another one of our more talented drivers of this series. But Kobe Wells also, once again, ain't no slouch. He is definitely a very talented driver and deserves not to be slept on for sure. And both these guys in their respective S chassis, Kobe Wells in his S14 and Studzinski in his S15. Oh, wait, no. Kobe Wells might not be driving his S14 as pictured there. I can't quite tell what it is from here with the pixelation of the stream, but I believe it. Oh, no, it is an S14. Okay. Never mind then.
But this battle will seal off the grade 8.
For sure, for sure. But here we go. Cubby Wells, Studzinski, ready to send it in here. Look at that beautiful S15 throwing it in nice and deep up onto the bank, up onto the wall. Here we go. Look at that, failing it out with the S14 following back and falling back, losing a bit of that proximity, but through the straight section here. Big initiation into that downhill section. Look at that. We love to see the big angle from that S15 to the S14. Look at that beautiful job here. Big transition, getting up onto the door. Oh, wheel to wheel, finishing out the run with a lot of proximity. Look at that. Absolutely fantastic.
What a fantastic run by both drivers, and Wells in the chase position, just mimicking that lead driver as best as he could and making it for a really clean chase.
Absolutely. With now Cubby Wells going to be in the lead position and Studzinski now going to be in the chase position, switching it up. Both of these drivers once again looking really solid at this event, but it's going to come down to this to see who takes it home today. Love to see a good, clean battle here, as we've had quite a few mistakes from a couple of other drivers, so it'll be nice to finish out top 16 with a very solid battle. We are excited.
With this challenging of a track and this type of layout, you never know what's going to happen. Even between battles from first half and second half, you never know what's going to happen.
Absolutely, and I imagine this run is going to be no different with Studzinski, a very talented driver in the chase, and Cubby Wells, once again, keep in mind, this is his first battle of the day, as he did have a bye run in his top 32, and our drivers are backing up, so we might have an issue before we get them lined up here. Alrighty, Studzinski and Cubby Wells. Both these drivers are very talented. Studzinski in his S15, Cubby Wells in his S14. Ready to send it here. Let's see how Cubby does. Lights are going to go red, then they'll go green, and you'll see these guys take off and send it for the final battle of the top 16. Here we go. Ready to send it here. Lights have gone green. Cubby Wells coming out of the start chicane here. Big initiation with Studzinski, maybe getting caught off guard and not quite having the launch he wanted. But look at that, all over the door of Cubby Wells. Look at that, putting the pressure on, coming down the bank. Cubby Wells with a bit of a correction coming through this section. Big angle coming down the hill. Studzinski putting on the pressure. Look at that, lunging up onto the side of that S14 with Cubby Wells looking really solid. Big transition here as he comes through this section with Studzinski coming on a tighter line, possibly making contact, and he does.
Looks like Studzinski has a little bit more grip in that car than Wells, and struggling a little bit to keep that car behind Wells. Great proximity on the first half of the track, but you can really see that he's over-angling his car and everything coming down that hill, trying to keep it out of the door of Wells, but still maintaining. And then coming out of this last corner, gains proximity again, and then of course the contact in the last zone, just really struggling to keep that car behind Wells.
Absolutely, it'll be up to the judges to decide whether or not this contact was going to be a 0 on Studzinski, because Cubby Wells, you can see, goes off the track and straightens out after that contact to the front end. Definitely front end contact can be some of the worst contact in drifting, because the front end's what keeps you in control, and if you can't keep that under control, then the whole car kind of does what it wants instead of what you want it to do. So you can see that contact could have been very detrimental to Cubby Wells's run, as well as detrimental to the chances of Studzinski getting into the top 8. But time will tell. The judges is definitely going to be taking care and making the right decision, hopefully, here as they deliberate whether or not this battle could go either way.
Contact on the front end is kryptonite for any driver. The door, the back panel and stuff, you can make contact, little taps here and there, and a lot of times it won't disrupt the lead driver, but the slightest bump on that front end can, as you see in not this replay, but the other one, it just knocks that lead driver right offline. Now, fortunately, it was at the end, so how heavily are going to weigh that contact on the actual scoring of the run?
For sure, results could vary here, but It's definitely cool to see these guys go at it. I mean, when you have to be so close that you could be hitting them to even get a chance at winning, that's how you know it's going to be a good battle. And Studzinski and Kobe Wells definitely proving that they're both very talented and can get up onto each other's doors. But again, that contact might seal the deal for Kobe Wells or Studzinski here.
As you can see, just that little bit of contact. I mean, as soon as those cars touch the front end, you see lead driver bounce a few feet away from the follow driver, to whereas middle of the door contact or back panel contact, the lead driver doesn't lunge quite as far forward.
For sure.
Very
for
crucial
sure.
part for maintaining car control is just not having that front end to be tapped.
For sure, and it looks like there was actually two little taps of contact where you can see Studzinski tapped the rear end first and then the front end. So it's even worse for Kobe because the car was already upset from the rear end tap and then immediately got tapped in the front while Kobe was probably correcting himself after the first tap. You can see if you're looking at the right side of your screen as they come around here, you can watch as they come around the last corner. You can see Studzinski lunges up on the front end of Kobe and gets up here, and then you can see 1, 2, and that's how it goes. You can see the rear end, then the front end, and when you're getting those two taps in rapid succession, when you're already trying to correct the first one, the second one's probably a death sentence.
Yeah, just goes to show again of just Studzinski just having a little bit more grip in the car and struggling a little bit more to keep that car behind the Wells. As a result of those contacts, just being really aggressive, just having that little bit more grip really comes down to tune on this track.
Absolutely, but here we go. Swipe him left for Marcel Studzinski and swipe him right for Kobe Wells. What are the judges going to decide? Here we go. That's 1 for OMT and 2 for Marcel Studzinski. Gets the win. So despite the contact, it might have been that they might have decided that Kobe Wells may have spun it on purpose. Either that or made a few more mistakes than Marcel did. But Studzinski gets the win and moves on to our top 8, which means I believe our top 8 bracket is full. If we can get that up on the screen and we can read out to you what our top 8 bracket looks like for you. Here we go. We have Josh Byrne and Aridas Sadowskis in our first top 8 battle, with Andrejev and Sandman following them up, Owen Magner and Bergmanis in that next battle, and Mr. It keeps saying Mustard, but it's not Mustard. It's Mr. Troutman against Mr. Marcel Studzinski. So a very, very stacked top 8. Who will make it to the top 4 and who will fight for that win? That'll be yet to be determined, ladies and gentlemen. Just stay tuned. This is going to get good. One thing, too, is that keep in mind, once again, Series 2 tickets have gone live. So before we see this next battle here, make sure to go check out www.scottishvirtualdriftseries.com to go get your tickets. We have single event entries or full series entries, and they sell out quick. So please make sure to head over to the website and get your tickets while you still can. Josh Byrne and Aridas Sadowski is going to be our first battle of our top 8 here. Josh Byrne, definitely a phenomenal driver, as well as Aridas Sadowskis. Going to be awesome to see Josh Byrne showing up and showing out in that little 180 SX that could against the Titan that is this HGK E46 from Sadowskis. Two very, very competent drivers, two very, very competent vehicles. I cannot wait to see how this goes down. Alrighty, here we go. Sadowskis, Byrne, ready to send it here. Sadowskis, nice and deep into that first outside zone, coming up to the bank, nice and deep here with Byrne falling back just a little bit, trying to gain the proximity, getting back onto the door of that E46, but can't seem to quite find it. Sadowskis looking really solid in that outside touch and go. Beautiful job. Big angle from that E46. Look at that. Coming into that outside touch and go with Josh Byrne just trying to get up onto the side of the E46, but can't seem to find the proximity, unfortunately. Finishing out the run strong, though, is Sadowskis in that E46. And Josh Byrne, man, just could not find the proximity, unfortunately. But moving in to the second half of the battle, we're going to line him up again here with Josh Byrne. Going to be in the lead position. He's going to have to kind of pull something out of the bag here to try and get an advantage over Sadowskis, who put down one hell of a lead run and pulled that gap on Josh Byrne. So Byrne is going to have to throw down one hell of a run here. And here we go. We're going to see how he does here. Big initiation in that first outside zone, but doesn't quite get as deep as he should into it. With Sadowskis just trying to gain the proximity. Filling out the zone. Nice, though, is Josh Byrne with Sadowskis trying to get up onto the door and also doesn't quite find the proximity, but let's see how he's going to lunge here. Big lunge to try and get up onto the door of Josh Byrne. Just doesn't quite find the proximity with Byrne trying to throw down a good lead line here with Sadowskis now finally finding the proximity and nudging up onto the door of that 180SX. It looks like Sadowskis might have underestimated the speed of that 180SX, having been also a little bit farther back in his chase run. So this will be an interesting one for the judges to call for sure, whether or not they make it. It's going to be interesting to see here. Josh Byrne, Sadowskis. Sadowskis definitely had a bit more moments of proximity than Byrne did, but I think Sadowskis might have made a couple more line sacrifices in his chase than Byrne did. So this will definitely be interesting for sure. Ladies and gentlemen in chat, let us know how we're doing. Are you enjoying the stream? Put some hand waves, put some heart emojis in the chat if you do enjoy it yourself, if you are finding the stream enjoyable. I know that there's been some technical difficulties today, but we are trying our best out here to give you guys the best possible show that we can. So please, ladies and gentlemen, show your love, show your support, subscribe, like, make sure you don't miss the next round, as round 5 will be coming up in a little while. But today, round 4. Let's see if you enjoy it. Throw some hand wave emojis. Throw some heart emojis in chat. Try to show us that you're enjoying yourself. We hope that you're having a great time here as we're trying to keep the stream as enjoyable as possible for Scottish Virtual Drift Series Round 4. We're hoping that you're having a good time because we are too. Absolutely phenomenal run from both of these drivers, but you see that they've both got their mistakes. They've definitely both made some mistakes, but definitely had some shining moments as well. As you can see, Sadowskis throwing out a pretty good lead line here as he gets out into the touch and go. Beautiful job through that section with Josh Byrne just not quite having it in terms of proximity. Definitely going to be interesting here. What a phenomenal battle so far.
Apologize, I had to step away for a moment. I run a business. I step away for a personal business call, and I'm just now getting back and watching these replays. And that looks like each driver struggled in their different sections. It's going to be a good one for the judges to make a call on.
Slide him right for Sadowskis. That's 1, 2, 3, and Sadowskis takes the win, and we'll be moving on to the top 4 for a shot at a podium. Ladies and gentlemen, it's only going to get better from here. As we move on, we have Daniel Andrejev versus Simon Sandman, I believe. And wow, is that going to be a phenomenal battle. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, if you're enjoying the stream, let us know in the comments how you feel about it, how you're feeling about the stream, and how you're feeling about the series as a whole. We have some of the best drivers showing up and showing that they've got what it takes to kill it here at Driftland UK. This is going to be a great time. Here we go. Daniel Andrejev, Simon Sandman, 2 of our best drivers of the series. I mean, you cannot get better than these 2 drivers. Both of them in S15s, but both of them are robots. Simon Sandman showing up, being kind of the underdog of the last round where he came up and got a podium after having not the greatest performance previously. He's definitely gotten better since the last times that he was here. And last round, once again, he got a podium, and now he's got one hell of a mountain to climb, having to go up against Daniel Andrejev, as Daniel is one hell of a driver as well. Look at that. Warming up the tires is Simon Sandman, and we're going to get ready to send him here any moment. Here we go. We're going to send him here The lights are going to go red, the lights are going to go green, and we'll send our drivers, Daniel Andrejev and Simon Sandman, both S15s, but both very different styles of S15, with Andrejev in that very, very aggressive-looking blue and yellow, and Sandman in that lovely-to-look-at pink and white. So here we go. Daniel Andrejev, Sandman sleeping on the line a little bit, but lunging in, up onto the rear bumper, but cutting himself off, with Andrejev throwing a beautiful lead line, getting up onto the outside zone. Beautiful job getting up onto that wall, with Andrejev throwing down a textbook lead line. Sandman a bit phased, but he's trying to come in now. He's lunging up. Oh, contact is made. Andrejev saves it, keeps the vehicle on track, keeps the vehicle out there, with Sandman pushing with everything he's got, trying to get up onto the door and finishing out the run strong. Both of these drivers, wow, both of these guys are really gunning for it, Beard. What do you think?
Look, Sandman definitely surging. I mean, first minor mistake. I mean, cutting himself off on initiation, then trying to gain back up, and then that contact coming into that long sweeping outside corner on the backside of the track. Very interesting to see how Andrejev's going to do in the chase position, how the second half of this battle is going to line up.
Absolutely, and here we go as the lights go green. Andrejev trying to take off a little bit early here. It looks like they're going to try and start this again. As the lights get ready to go red and then they go green again. Sandman going to be in the lead position with Andrejev in the chase. This could be one of the best battles we've seen all night. We know that Andrejev is a very talented chase driver, but Sandman knows how to put down a lead. This is going to be a really good battle, ladies and gentlemen. You paid for the whole seat, but you're not only going to use the edge. Let's go. Here we go. The light tree goes on and the light tree goes off. We'll see them go. We'll see them go. Any moment now. Here we go. Lights go green. Sandman in the lead position through the start chicane. Andrejev starting with a bumper-to-bumper initiation, ready to set it up, trying to get up onto the wall. Sandman throwing a very beautiful lead line, but Andrejev reeling him in, getting the proximity going, trying to get up onto the side of that S15. Beautiful job. Simon Sandman throwing down a beautiful lead run. Big angle coming down the hill with Andrejev all over the side, nosing in, putting in the front of that S15 into the door of Simon Sandman here, with Sandman running a beautiful lead line. But you cannot deny that chase. Finishing out the run strong is Daniel Andrejev. Wow, just what a dominant performance.
Very smooth lead line from Sandman, and then this really shows Andrejev putting the car where it needs to be, kind of taking it a little bit cautious, a little bit easy, knowing that he had the advantage going into the second half of this battle. And then coming around to that last corner, just pouring everything on the line and getting inches from Sandman. Just phenomenal show of driver ability.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now keep in mind, whoever wins this goes on to the Final Four and gets a chance at a podium. So these guys are definitely going to want to make sure that they lock themselves in for that top 4 position to try and fight their way to a win. So let's, will it be Daniel Andrejev or will it be Sandman? That is the question. Judges are taking a look at these runs and seeing who had the better lead and who had the better chase. Looking at this run again, you can see Simon Sandman chokes himself off in the chase position, with Andrejev just doing a fantastic job in that lead position. Like, he just runs the most textbook lead lines I've ever seen. Just super competitive. And once again, you have that contact from Sandman lunging in just a little bit too hard, trying to find the proximity, and just finds a little bit too much of it, so it would seem. Here we go. Look at this. Just a beautiful showing of a chase run from Mr. Andrejev. Look at that bumper-to-bumper transitions. Not scared of anything. And look at that Sandman, though, throwing a beautiful a bit of angle coming into that zone here with Andrejev. Possibly dropping a tire in his chase. It might have been a little bit deep, but look at that. Just nosing in, pushing Sandman over the line. Just a phenomenal show of talent from these guys. It's just insane to watch.
And both these drivers gave a phenomenal lead. I mean, very, very minimal corrections in that lead position. And then just looks like Andrejev just having a little bit more proximity in that chase position. And I think that's where the decision's going to come down to, is proximity on the chase. Absolutely,
for sure. Cannot wait to see what the judges decide on this one, because honestly, it could go either way. You know? Got Sandman throwing down really good lead runs with Andrejev, just showing his dominance in the chase. ladies and gentlemen. You're going to get ready to make a decision here any moment. And here we go. The judges are going to make their decision here. Daniel and Andrejev in the on the left, and on the right side with Sandman. And Daniel Andrejev moves on to the top 4 and will be fighting against Sadowskis for that podium position. But that is unfortunate for Simon Sandman. Came so close, but yet so far, and will be heading home after going out in the top 8. Now, I believe we should be moving on to Magner versus Bergmanis, was it? Magner and Bergmanis. Definitely going to be one hell of a battle. We know that Magner's a fantastic driver, and he's fought his way up to this top 8 position, with Bergmanis also having been given some tough battles that he has come out on top of. So, going to be really great to see how this goes. All right, here we go. Dominic Bergmanis in that A80 Supra with Owen Magner and his S15. Look at that. They're warming up their tires, getting ready to send it. Who is going to make it into the top 4 between these two? This is going to be incredible. Owen Magner lining up for his lead run. Bergmanis burning out, getting his tires warmed up. And he's going to come in and line up on that chase position. Alrighty, here we go. Bergmanis and Owen Magner, they're lined up. They're ready to go. They're ready to send it. And I think our judges will be ready to send them any moment as well. And here we go. Owen Magner in the lead position with Bergmanis in the chase. Here we go. Magner sending it in. Big initiation, looking really solid on that first outside touch and go. Nicely done. Coming up the hill with Bergmanis falling off quite a bit. Doesn't quite match the line or the angle or the proximity. Gets up into the touch and goes. Owen Magner looking decent coming down the hill here. Bergmanis sending it deep, trying to get up onto the door. Almost goes off the course, but out of some sort of miracle, manages to keep it on the track with Owen Magner running a textbook lead line with a bit of contact, it looked like, from Bergmanis there, but finishing out the run strong are both of these drivers. Very phenomenal job from Owen Magner in that lead position. A very good lead run from him. And Bergmanis, unfortunately, making a few mistakes. So hopefully that doesn't ruin his chances here of getting into the top 4. Because we know that Bergmanis can throw a good lead run if he wants to. So here's hoping that he'll get it.
Bergmanis, I mean, doing a phenomenal job keeping that car on track. I mean, he did come into that big sweeping corner really hot and just phenomenal job being able to keep it on track and be able to keep it behind the lead driver.
Absolutely. A lesser driver would have gone off into the dirt, but he manages to keep on track so that he can still do a lead run here, looking really beautiful in that first touch and go. Look at that, getting up onto the wall nice and deep. Magner falling back just a little bit, manages to reel him in a little bit coming down into the straight section here. With Bergmanis looking really good in that touch and go. Big transition and getting nice and deep going down the outside section on that downhill. Looking beautiful into the touch and go with Magner. Lunging up, trying to gain the proximity and manages to find it towards the end. Practically pushes Bergmanis through the end of the course and actually does push Bergmanis through the end of the course. Finishing out the run are both of these drivers. Beautiful job. Absolutely sick to watch. Beard, what do you think?
Magner looks like he was just he was struggling, trying to find the right angle and grip to be able to surge up on the lead driver's door throughout the run, but stayed consistent, stayed smooth, not too many huge corrections in that chase position. I think that's where the deciding factor is going to be, because both of them threw down a pretty good lead run.
Definitely going to be a hard one to decide here for these drivers.
Like Bergmanis in his lead on coming up on that top outside wall, carrying a little bit too much angle, which caused him to drop down inside a little bit too much, to whereas
Mr. Magner.
Magner in the chase position, he had more proper angles, able to keep a consistent proximity to the lead driver.
For sure, for sure. Definitely both drivers making quite a few mistakes, but I think this one's going to be the deciding factor with Bergmanis damn near sending it off the track and into Owen Magner, but manages somehow by a miracle of God to keep the car on track. Also a little bit of contact there, pushing Magner wide, so it'll be interesting to see how the judges decide here. But you can see here the lead run with Owen Magner also not quite being as close in the chase, but manages to find a bit more proximity than Bergmanis did, as well as notably Magner not sending it at the speed of a ballistic missile off this section of the course. So we'll have to see how the judges decide to weigh this. Swipe him left for Owen Magner, swipe him right for Bergmanis, and that's 1, 2, 3 for Owen Magner, and Owen Magner moves on to the top 4 and gets to have a chance at that podium. Super awesome battle to watch. Those drivers definitely put down one hell of a run and one hell of a battle. Super awesome to see. But next up should be Mr. Troutman and Studzinski. Also going to be a really good battle. Troutman, definitely a wild card for this event, with Studzinski also being a phenomenal driver. So Troutman definitely going to want to play spoiler to Studzinski and try and make it into that top 4 for competition. And here we go. They're going to be lining up here. Troutman in that lead position. Studzinski in the chase. Let's see how they do. We're going to send it here. Troutman in the lead with Studzinski in the chase. Going to be lining up the light tree here any moment to see who makes it into the top 4. Will it be Troutman? Will it be Studzinski? Who knows? Only a battle will tell. Hopefully we get that battle sent any moment now. Here we go. Troutman in the lead. Here we go. Yeah, Troutman in the lead. Studzinski in the chase. Here we go. Troutman ready to send it in. Beautiful job on that first outside clip coming up the wall. Let's see how he does getting into this big outside zone. Look at that. I swear this man is throwing the most angle we've seen on that outside zone up on the wall here, with Studzinski trying not to be phased by it, trying to get up onto the door of Mr. Troutman here. Troutman throwing down a beautiful job through that outside clipping zone. Nicely done here with Studzinski, just trying to throw down a good chase run and manages to find the proximity by the end of that run. So a very solid first half of the battle. Definitely quite a few mistakes though.
Studzinski looks like he was surging a little bit, and then also a little bit offline from the lead. Curious to see how Troutman's going to do in that chase position.
For sure, but it's going to be good to see who does better here. Who's going to get the win for this second half of the battle? Who's going to go on to the top 4 and try and go for the win? Here we go. Studzinski, beautiful lead line so far, getting nice and deep into that outside zone, coming up onto the wall. Look at that. But Troutman, no slouch, trying to find the proximity, manages to get some of it through this straight section of the course. Big transition, trying to get up onto the side of Studzinski, lunging up, finding the door of that S15 of Studzinski. Studzinski looking really beautiful in that lead position. Look at that big transition around that outside clip with Troutman all over the side of that S15. Wow! Look at that proximity. Nicely done by Troutman.
Phenomenal run. I mean, Troutman keeping more consistent proximity throughout the entirety of the course, whereas Studzinski was struggling and surging a little offline, where Troutman looked a little bit more comfortable in that chase position. Both of them given solid leads as well.
For sure, those judges definitely have a hard one to decide. Will it be Troutman or will it be Studzinski? Two very, very good drivers. Definitely going to be a tough call here, Beard. What are you thinking?
It'll be tough. It's hard to say which way it's going to go. One driver had a little bit more proximity in certain spots. The other one was consistent on proximity throughout the whole course. And it's just, what exactly are the judges looking for? Are they looking more for that aggression and surging and getting to the door, or are they looking for more of the consistent proximity?
Definitely, that is the question here. You can see the side-by-side runs. Studzinski definitely had more proximity on the bank, but then you can see more consistently Troutman definitely keeping it up on the door of that S15. But I mean, both of these drivers throwing down a pretty good lead run. It's going to be a hard battle to decipher and figuring out who took the bigger, who had a better advantage here.
As you see, Studinsky in the chase, he's surging, he's getting there, and he's close, has better proximity. But again, Troutman having a more consistent, smoother angle and looked definitely more comfortable and fluid in that chase position than Studinsky did. Which really comes down to what are the judges looking for? Are they looking for that aggression, or are they looking for that smoothness and fluidity?
Absolutely, but here we go. Swipe him left for Troutman, swipe him right for Studzinski. And it looks like Marcel Studzinski is going to get the win and moves on to the top 4. Unfortunately for Troutman, made one too many mistakes and will be going home in the top 8. But that's no small feat. Getting into the top 8 was definitely a hard-fought battle, and he did a phenomenal job. But Studzinski going to be moving on to the top 4, and we'll show you that bracket here in just a moment to see who is in our top 4 and who will be fighting. It looks like we've got Aridas Sadauskis and Daniel Andrejev. Now that is going to be a phenomenal battle, and then following it up is going to be Owen Magner versus Studzinski. Now, any one of these guys could be on the podium this event. We know at least 3 of them will have those top 3 finishes. We'll have the winners of each of those 2 battles move on to the battle for first and second, and the losers of those 2 battles will get to do a battle for third. So stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen, because this is only going to get better from here.
Final 4 battles are always a blast to see. I mean, that's where just the heart of the competition is. Everyone, the 4 drivers just put everything out on the line, and they make it or break it.
Absolutely. It's also where these drivers, if they know what they're doing, are at the height of their effort today, where they're going to be, they may have been taking it easy in their last couple of battles, but now they've really got to put on the pressure, and they've really got to send it here to make sure that they're going to be securing their spot on the podium. Definitely some very, very talented drivers showing up today, and I really hope that everybody at home is sitting at the edge of their seat, because this, like I said, is only going to get better from here. It is the top 4. This is where things get intense. This is where you got to start putting your money where your mouth is. Absolutely going to be intense, these last few battles. But while we wait to line them up here, make sure, once again, I'm sorry to beat this over your head, everybody, but you got to head over to www.scottishvirtualdriftseries.com. If you want to be part of the action for Series 2, you got to go buy a ticket. You got to go try and get yourself in. Then make sure that you get in there fast, because it is going to sell out, and it will sell out fast. Everybody likes to go for these competitions, and the more we talk about it, the more people are taking up entry spots. Keep in mind, you can buy for £10, you can get a single round entry, or for 50, you can get a whole series entry to see if you have what it takes to go and get a championship. So here we go. We're going to roll the ad for you guys now.
For the U.S. drifters that want to compete in this, 10 pounds equates out to about $11 and change for a round, and then 50 pounds equates to about $60 US. So very much worth it, especially with the level of competition that's in here. If you want to see yourself competing against these drivers, if you want a chance to get on that podium, definitely go to the website and sign up.
Absolutely, absolutely. Super exciting to see it. Once again, next season will be on VDC 3.0 data. You can either bring your own car or compete in one of the ones that we have, because we do have some jump in and drive cars set up for SVDS that if you wanted to come in and just compete without having to worry about building a car, you can in fact do that, as Aridas Sadauskis and Daniel Andrejev are lining up for our first of our top 4 battles. Ladies and gentlemen, it's only going to get more interesting from here. Aridas Sadauskis and Mr. Daniel Andrejev, both of these guys, fantastic drivers, and these guys are going to be putting it all out on track. Sadauskis, Andrejev, ready to send it here. E46 versus S15. You'll love to see it. Absolutely love to see it. Here we go. The lights go red and the lights go green, and we'll see them send it here. The top four. Here we go. Sadowskis and Andrejev. Sadowskis going to be sending it in, bidding an initiation up on the outside, touch and go, coming up to the wall. And Andrejev trying to find the proximity, manages to find it. Sadowskis filling out that zone all the way at the top of the bank. Andrejev all over the back end of that E46. Sadowskis, though, not being phased, throwing down a fantastic lead run for Andrejev to follow. Look at this. Nice and deep into that touch and go. Beautiful job coming into this next section of the course. Maybe a little bit shallow on that clip there, but Andrejev not giving him an inch. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for these drivers. These guys are already fighting tooth and nail. Andrejev and Sadowskis, man, these guys are some of our more talented drivers of this series. That E46 definitely gripped up, but that S15 absolutely fantastic as well. I mean, it is just incredible to see the kind of talents that these guys have and the feats that they pull off here. Andrejev setting it in, big initiation in that first clip. Sadowskis all over the side of him, lunging up, keeping the proximity on the top of the bank. Look at that. Andrejev, though, throwing a beautiful lead line with Sadowskis falling off just a little bit, trying to get up onto the side of the door. Oh, lunges up, but manages to fall back just a little bit, with Andrejev throwing down a beautiful lead line so far, but comes up shallow on that outside clip. Sadowskis phased by it just a little bit, but getting up onto the door to finish out the run. Wow, what a top four battle.
Was there a little bit of contact on that last transition? It was hard to tell. I mean, in both chase positions, they both transitioned right on that rear bumper, and it was just hard to tell if there's a little bit of contact there or not, but both these drivers put it just out everything on the line and just driving to the best of their ability and just risking it all to be able to get a spot on that podium.
Absolutely, and yeah, look, you can see Andrejev in his lead run there. Might have made a mistake there over angling around that last transition, but will it be enough to offset the couple of mistakes that Sadowskis made in his chase run or his runs here? Because you can see, look at this. Sadowskis throwing out a beautiful lead run, but makes a bit of an angle check up, has to get up onto the bank there, gets into that outside clip, nicely down, but Andrejev all over the bumper. Look at this, big sends into this downhill section, coming into that outside touch and go, big transition here. Andrejev just being patient, being up on the door, dude. Look at this. Absolutely fantastic. We'll go to the replay of the second half of the battle here with Sadowskis lunging up, trying to get up onto the door. Manages to find some proximity here, but Daniel just throwing down a dominant lead run. And look how fast this S15 is coming down this hill. Big transition. Sadowskis drops a tire there and ends up falling back, as well as dropping a tire there and making quite a few corrections. We'll see what happens here. I don't think there was contact, but Andrejev almost looks like he over-rotates it a little bit coming into that last corner and finishing out the run strong. Sadowskis and Andrejev, a beautiful job from these guys so far.
Judges definitely have an interesting call to make. I mean, you had the chase driver possibly dropping a tire in a couple different sections of the track, and then you also had the lead driver, looks like over angling into that last zone, causing him to miss the second to last outside clip. So it'll be interesting on how the judges want to call that.
Absolutely, but one thing's for sure, this is going to be one of the toughest calls that the judges have made yet, because these guys are fighting tooth and nail to try and get into that final battle spot. Oh man, I cannot, man. This is some of the most exciting work that I have ever done. Watching these guys go at it, super crazy to see. These guys are doing an absolutely phenomenal job. Sadowskis and Andrejev, both of these guys, just absolutely, so dominant. It is just so crazy to see how dominant these guys are. They are so crazy when it comes to being aggressive in these in the chase, in the lead. Just absolutely fantastic. But the judges definitely wanted to get a good decision here. They're watching these guys like a hawk, seeing who made what mistakes and which ones outweigh each other's. I think everybody in chat knows how judging works by now, but yeah, for sure, like these guys, it's just so tight between the two of them. I mean, it's just incredible to watch these runs and see how good these guys are doing. Absolutely.
I mean, each driver made their mistakes, but it's just who made the bigger mistake.
For sure, for sure. Ooh.
The first half of the battle went really smooth and really consistent. And the second half of the battle, each driver had their fault. And it was just going to come down to who had the bigger fault.
Should be taking you to our judges any moment now. Look at that beautiful shot of that SVDS banner hanging above the start line. And here we go. Slide him left for Sadowski. Slide him right for Daniel Andrejev. Who's going to move on and take the win? And oh, that's 2. 3 judges say Aridas Sadowski gets to move on to the finals and gets to shoot for a first or second place spot at our event today. Daniel Andrejev unfortunately losing out this battle, but it's not over for him yet. He gets to go against whoever loses the other battle to see who gets third place. So we still got a chance at a podium, but it won't be first or second for Andrejev. Sadowskis does a phenomenal job and just about edges out to get the top spot for that battle. Man, this is going to be great.
Definitely, as these last couple runs come up, is the most heated battles of the entire competition, as it should be. I mean, these are the guys that made it all the way to the end.
For sure, for sure. It's going to be really awesome to see these next drivers here. The stream is getting choppy, as says some people in the chat there. Unfortunately, we can't do too much about stream lag. It's just going to be an inevitability. Hopefully, it stays relatively intact for the last few battles. Because keep in mind, we only have 3 more. We got 1 more in the top 4, and then we got the finals, and we got the third place battle after this. So, Owen Magner and Marcel Studzinski. Here we go. Magner in the lead position. Studzinski in the chase. Here we go. Magner. Beautiful job on that first outside clip. Coming up the bank. Let's see how he does with Studzinski. Wow. Putting on the proximity. Putting on the pressure coming down the hill with Owen Magner. Throwing down a beautiful lead line with Studzinski all over the back end of that S15. Look at that. Big lunge. Keeps it right up on the side of that Linky CU S15. Owen Magner. Beautiful job, though, in the lead position. Can't have a good chase without one. And he's doing a beautiful job at giving Studzinski something to chase for sure, but wow, that proximity.
I mean, the chase driver did an absolute phenomenal job mimicking the lead driver, making same exact transitions, and just absolutely phenomenal show of driver abilities.
Absolutely, but here we go. We're going to line him up again, Studzinski and Mr. Owen Magner. Gonna get ready to send him here. Studzinski, a phenomenal driver, but Magner definitely just put down one of the best lead runs we've seen all day. Owen Magner, Marcel Studzinski. Here we go. Send him for the second half of the battle. Ladies and gentlemen, it does not get better than this. Here we go. Wait. Huh? Seems as though we're having some technical difficulties. So we might run a few ads while we get these guys reloaded in, because it looks like the server has had some technical difficulties. Having some issues with the server in terms of sometimes the set of servers aren't quite as reliable as they look, and we're having some issues with them now. So we're gonna try and get these guys loaded up, because we do still have to see that second half of the battle. Studzinski and Magner. We saw the first half. Now we gotta make sure that they can actually do their second half of the battle. All right, so unfortunately the stream and our streamer is the one that had the issues with the server. Unfortunately, as you guys didn't see it, they did run the second half of the battle between Magner and Studzinski. We will be waiting on that call here any moment. Here we go. Unfortunately, you guys didn't get to see the whole battle, but we will be sending it to our judges to see who they decide. And it looks like Marcel Studzinski gets the win, and we'll be moving on to our finals. But once again, it's not over for Owen Magner. He still has a chance at a third place podium going up against Daniel Andrejev. But our finals, man, this is going to be one hell of a battle. We've got Studzinski versus Studzinski versus Sadowskis. Yeah, that's going to be a good battle for sure for that final. But I believe first we're going to go over to our Andrejev versus Magner battle to see who will take third place. Here we go. Lining them up here. Daniel Andrejev and Owen Magner, both of them in S15s. Very popular choice of chassis. But get ready to send them here. Owen Magner, Daniel Andrejev. Look at these guys. And here we go. Daniel Andrejev in the lead position with Owen Magner in the chase. Here we go. Big flick initiation for Andrejev. Looking really solid in that first outside zone. Looking good. Up onto the wall, but Owen Magner, no slouch, trying to stay up on the door, but loses a little bit of proximity coming down off the outside zone. Coming to the transition here. Big send into that downhill section from Andrejev. Look at that, but Owen Magner lunging up, trying to find the proximity, getting up onto the side of that S15. Beautiful job here, though, from Andrejev in the lead position. Look at that, pulling that gap away from Owen Magner. Wow, what a run.
As I was saying, I mean, that bank is the deciding factor for these drivers on the track. I mean, if you don't set yourself up perfectly on that door, a gap forms, and then you spend the rest of the track trying to catch back up, and it's difficult to do so because then you run the risk of flying off track on that outside zone at the bottom of the track like we've seen a couple drivers do. Be interesting to see how the second half of this battle lines up.
Absolutely, but here we go. Owen Magner, Daniel Andrejev. And here we go. And you're ready to send them. All right, here we go on Magner, Daniel Andrejev, big send. Magner looking really good in that initiation, but Andrejev all over the side of that S15. Look at that, pushing onto the door of him, looking really solid coming down the bank here. Magner looking really good through this transition. Here we go, coming down into that last section. Beautiful job. Look at that, big sends onto that downhill section, but Andrejev so dominant in the chase position all over the side of Owen Magner. Look at that, just a beautiful run between the two of them. Little bits of contact, but finishing out the run strong.
Little taps here and there, pushing him across that finish line. I mean, phenomenal runs from both drivers. I mean, judges will definitely have a handful for these.
Definitely going to be a hard decision for our judges, but you guys can take a look at it and form your own opinions here on the side-by-side replays. Owen Magner throwing down a pretty good lead run, but definitely Andrejev in terms of chase had a lot of aggression. So let's see how these guys do. Who's going to take third place home today? We will not be announcing at the end of this battle who wins this one unless it's an OMT. We will be taking it to the podium to tell you who takes the win. So we'll have to tell you that afterwards. So please bear with us, as after this battle, if we do have a winner, we'll be moving on to our finals.
Phenomenal job by all our drivers today. I mean, everyone put it out on the line and for top 32 and even in the top 16. I mean, this track's not easy, and everybody just put it out on the line and did the best they could. Definitely a great turnout for today's event.
Absolutely. Super sick to see. Glad to see everybody in chat having a good time. And I'm sure that people have left after they saw their favorite driver go away. But anybody who did stick around, have a good one. And make sure that at the end of the stream, I don't know, put chicken dinner in the comments if you stayed till the end of the stream. If you stayed this far, put chicken dinner in the comments after the stream has been uploaded as a VOD. Do me that favor. If you stayed this long, do that for me. There we go. Look at these guys. And it looks like we do have a decision, but we won't be telling you what it is until we head up to the podium, which means, ladies and gentlemen, we get to move on to our final battle. Now, this is going to be one for the books. Let me tell you this. It's gonna be Marcel Studzinski versus Eridas Sadauskas. It's going to be one hell of a battle for that final. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Marcel Studzinski and Eridas Sadauskas, two of our most talented drivers, two of our most aggressive drivers. These guys are definitely are definitely ones to watch. I mean, this is going to be the final battle. Eridas Sadauskas versus Marcel Studzinski. And here we go. I'm going to get them lined up here any moment now.
Really like that plain look of that black BMW. Just super simple, great balance of colors on the wheels and just the general look of the car. Just nice to see a simple car from time to time.
Absolutely super sick to see. But hey, you can't knock the look of that S15 of Mr. Marcel Studzinski. These two drivers definitely have their own taste when it comes to these cars, and they both look really sick. Love that HDK E46 kit, super cool look. But that S15 definitely not an ugly car either. It's pretty nice. It's nice to look at. Absolutely.
You got aggressive livery versus clean livery, and it's just, the balance of them is awesome.
Absolutely. Awesome to see. It looks like we're just making sure we're lined up good here, and we'll be able to send them here in a moment. Alrighty, here we go for our final battle of the night. Sadauskas and Studzinski. Two S names that are very impossible to pronounce, but we're still doing it up here. Here we go. Sadauskas in that E46 with Studzinski in the chase position, following in. Big initiation. Nicely done from Sadauskas. Coming up onto the wall. Here we go. Nicely done. Failing out that zone entirely, but dropping a little bit of angle. Sadauskas coming down into the outside clipping zone. Nicely done here. Coming into the downhill section. Studzinski trying to gain that proximity back. Big angle. More angle than Sadauskas has. Sadauskas looking, though, really solid in the lead position after those few mistakes. Studzinski just capitalizing on everything that he can to find that proximity, and a little bit sloppy of a run from Sadauskas, unfortunately. Studzinski, though, looking cool, calm, and composed. Let's see how they do in the second half of this battle.
Phenomenal charge on that door, on that zone, just over-angling, but still maintaining and gaining proximity. Just phenomenal act of drivability.
Absolutely, but here we go. Sadauskas now in the chase, Studzinski in the lead position. Keep in mind that we will not be telling you who wins this battle until we hit the podium, unless it's one more time. So make sure to be on the edge of your seats, folks, because this one is going to be a good one. Sadauskas and Studzinski, the second half of the battle. We're going to send them here at any moment now. This is going to be phenomenal. Alrighty, here we go. Studzinski in the lead position with Sadowskis in the chase position. Studzinski going in for a big initiation. Sadowskis, though, all over the door, coming off of him just a little bit, though, but lunging up, and oh, contact is made. Looks like Sadowskis goes into the door of Studzinski and continues to make contact, but Studzinski going to do his best to try and finish the run. Look at that big angle coming down the hill, trying to stay on track here with Sadowskis, knowing that he's made the mistake. He's going to still try and keep it up onto the door. It's unfortunate, but it happens. These guys are pushing for inches. These guys are trying to get the most out of these battles that they can, and sometimes it leads to contact, unfortunately.
This goes testament just to these drivers putting everything out on the line just to do the best they possibly can and be as competitive as they can. I mean, at this driver level, I mean, you have to. There's no other choice. You can't slack at this caliber of competition.
Absolutely. This is absolutely phenomenal to see. I mean, this stream's been a little bit rocky, but we've had quite a bit of good battles, and I feel like everybody here can come away saying that this was a good event. I mean, look at these guys. They're having the time of their lives out here. Sadowskis and Studzinski, knowing that they're both here. I mean, they're both guaranteed podiums at this point, so they're both happy about this. Finishing out this event, man. I mean, this has been a great event, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we're gonna see who takes this win here in just a moment, as we'll head over to the podium once we find out who or if we've made a decision yet.
It's kind of hard to see from our angle, but I mean, that call could go either way. I mean, it was hard to tell if the lead driver had made a correction, which caused follow driver to make contact, or if follow driver just being too aggressive, making contact. I mean, from our angle, there's a little bit of smoke and everything of them getting up onto that wall. So it's hard to say. It could still go either way.
Still waiting on a decision from the judges. If we have gotten a decision, once again, we'll be taking it down to the podium. If we haven't, and it's a one more time, you'll see another battle. But I think this one's easy enough to call, which is kind of unusual for a final battle, having it not necessarily in black and white, but definitely not a hard decision either. You definitely just got to look at who made the most mistakes and who came out on top. I mean, it looked like a pretty interesting battle. I mean, Sadowskis definitely had a sloppier lead run and made that contact in the chase. But Studzinski definitely wasn't the most aggressive in his run, so it'll be interesting to see what happens here for sure.
I think where it's going to come down to the decision factor is that contact on that bank. Who was at fault is going to determine the winner of this this particular battle.
Alrighty, we've got a decision, so we will be moving over to the podium. And I believe we'll be moving over to the driver's chat, and we'll be congratulating everybody in but a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, I really hope you've had a good time today. I really hope you guys have enjoyed the stream. I know it's been a little bit laggy, but we are doing our best here as a team to try and give you guys the best quality possible. We know that it's that sometimes it's not the greatest, but we are doing our best. So please keep that in mind as we go over to the podium here. This is going to be an interesting one for sure. Just waiting here to get information from our judges and our staff to see where we're going to be going to go and read off the podium here. we have all 4 of our drivers lined up. I believe we're going to be heading over to Group 1 now to go and congratulate our drivers and see who gets our top spot. Alrighty, now that the drivers are all muted, we're going to head over there and we're going to go listen into our podium. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be reading off our podium drivers here today. We had a beautiful round with a lot of hard-fought battles, but here are your top 4 drivers here, as you see on screen here. So we are going to be taking it over to Alex O'Hara to read off who got your first, second, and third place. O'Hara, take it away.
Alright, so we'll be starting with third place first, and we'll be going down to first place. So third place, he was incredibly good in battles today, close proximity driving, and that will be Daniel Andrzejewicz.
Congrats, amazing driving.
Coming in at second place is don't do second place, we'll do first, you know, and then in first place for round 4 of SVDS it is Marcel Stadzinski. So second place will be Sadauskas. So well done to all drivers. And as well for a hard charger, we'll be giving it to Owen Magna.
Amazing driving from Owen all weekend. He was just inched out by Daniel in the third, fourth, but he has been so on it all weekend. It was a quite easy decision for us, to be honest. But we just want to thank all our drivers. They've done utterly amazing this weekend. Congratulations.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in to round 4 of SVDS. And make sure to subscribe, like, comment, subscribe. Make sure that you turn on that bell notification for this the channel, because you do not want to miss our next round. Round 5 will be, I'd say, probably even better than this. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, and have yourself a good one.